What is going on, good people of YouTube? It is me, Chavez, back with another Prize Picks video for you. Today is Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. We got a 9-game NBA slate on our hands. NBA is back after about a week of no NBA games. Whew, it feels good. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. As always, I hope this video finds you all doing well and in good spirits. And yeah, without further ado, let's get this final look video started. I thought what we can do first is look at these projected starting lineups. I'm not going to read off every name to you, but I do want to point out a few key lineups because we talked about a few injury spots in our early look video. Number one, Celtics are healthy, fully healthy, got their starting five on the court today. And then we talked about the Denver lineup as well. Murray was questionable, but it looks like he's playing today. But we do have no Aaron Gordon tonight, so Jeff Green slides into that lineup. What that does for the starting lineup is adds one piece to the starting lineup, one non-scorer, I should say, to that starting lineup. Jeff Green is not a player that can create his own shot or bring the ball up the court, so he's there, and I think that funnels a little bit more production or game flow to Michael Porter Jr. Obviously, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray should see an increase as well. No injury news from Cleveland, Pelicans, Raptors. OG Anunoby was questionable, but I believe he's playing today. He's not in the starting lineup, but him being back really adds that depth to the bench. They need it badly. They really, really need him out there on the court to help out in basically any way he can. Grizzlies, still no Adams. 76ers look the same. Spurs, no Vassell, no Trey Jones. So we got Branham, Graham, Johnson, Sohan, and Collins. And then Mavs, Luka and Kyrie, Hardaway, Josh Green, Dwight Powell. Jazz, no Sexton, so Taylor Horton-Tucker, Jordan Clarkson are in the backcourt with Markkanen, Olynyk, and Walker Kessler. Jeremy Grant is back for the Blazers. No Anthony Simons, so Matisse Thybulle slides in. So similar to what we talked about with Jeff Green in Denver, this dude is not a scorer. He is not there to score. He does not contribute anything to the offense. So more production funnels to Dame, Cam. I think those are going to be your top scorers on this team, to be honest with you. And then nothing changes for the Sacramento Kings. So heading on over to Prize Picks. So let's start off by talking about Josh Giddey, over 30.5 PRA. I like this line for him. I'm going to head on over to props.cash. All right. And we have 30.5 for Josh Giddey with his PRA. Minus 125 to go over here. I like the game environment. I like the pace game for both teams, even though this looks bad. Wow, they're so slow. They're only 1.4 possessions slower than the OKC Thunder. So you have the number 4 fastest team. You have the 4th fastest team in the NBA playing the 12th fastest team in the NBA. Both of them are only separated by 1.4 possessions. So it should not be a difference in pace at all. I don't want to dig too deep into some of these games because his minutes were really off in those Houston games. Didn't even hit 30 minutes in those games. He's averaging 30 minutes on the season over his last 5-10 as well. His shot volume was also really off in some of those games. 10, 12, 13 shots. Some of these other games, he's almost at 20 shots per game. Look at the difference in his points directly correlated to his shot volume. Assists were down in some of those games as well. Should be a more competitive game versus the Utah Jazz. I like him to be on the floor for 30 plus minutes. Think he can get it done across the board. Rebounds, assists, and points. Two other plays from this game that are not on the board. Taylor Horton-Tucker. I also like the over on his PRA. If we can get a line for Horton-Tucker. Look, since he's been filling in that starting lineup as the basically the point guard, this is what he's done in those games, those 7 games. His minutes have increased. His shot attempts have increased. His points have increased. His assists have increased. So if we can't get a PRA on THT, Maybe we can get a rebounds and assist line, or maybe just points and assists. But all that looks good. Hopefully they don't get bumped up too high to the point where we can't play them. But if they are in or around that 13 and a half, 14 line, I like them. Last player from this game, Kelly Olynyk. The props that I want to play for him are not on the board. I really am interested in Kelly Olynyk's rebounds and assist line over 10 and a half. And then I'm also interested in his PRA over 22 and a half. I just believe this is a good matchup for Kelly Olynyk. I think that he gets overlooked a lot, being that Lauri Markkanen is kind of like the alpha on that team. And from my experience playing these rebounds and assist props for Kelly Olynyk, he just gets it done, honestly. So I know this game log isn't the best, but you obviously don't want to see, these crazy, games that aren't sustainable. You're looking at these games where 10 and a half is his rebounds and assist line. He's clearing it in these, but he's very close in these other games as well. And that's kind of what I like, because there's more consistency between that than there would be if he's at 17, 19, 20, 21. Then he, has a 3, 4 rebound and assist type of game. Too volatile. So I like the way this is looking for Kelly Olynyk. If we can get one of those props dropped on the board, I'd be very interested in taking the over on those. So that's going to do it for the OKC and Utah Jazz game. Let's move on now to let's talk a little bit about the Boston and Indiana game. And I want to start with a couple of Pacers that stand out to me. Number one being Aaron Nesmith over 18 and a half fantasy points. Now I have a few stats I want to share with you on this one. So in December, Nesmith averaged 21.6 fantasy points per game. In January, he averaged 17.9 fantasy points per game. And in February, up until now, 23.4 fantasy points a game. We need him to give us 19 fantasy points today. I think he gets it done for us. And one thing I like about Nesmith is that he will get you a block, a steal, and he will not turn the ball over very much, which helps a lot in terms of fantasy production. I'm not scared of this matchup versus the Celtics. I like this all day. Over 18 and a half. I liked Tyrese Halliburton over his points and assists. And I like him over his fantasy points. So points and assists set to 27 and a half, and fantasy is set to 38 and a half. This is the healthiest Halliburton will be all year for the rest of the season. Put up 41 PRA versus Boston in their last meeting. And then in terms of his, that was his points and assists. 41 points and assists. But in terms of PRA, put up 44. Most of his production in PRA will come from points and assists, which is why I like the over on his points and assists. He could probably hit PRA with just points and assists in most games. So those two stand out to me for Tyrese Halliburton. I do like the over on Jason Tatum's points, 29 and a half. He just has all his facilitators back today. I like the fact that more people can get him the ball and help him score, basically. So I like the over on this, 29 and a half. Talked about his assists yesterday and going under on his assists. Here's my logic behind this. Now, it's at 4 on Prizepicks. It was at 4.5 on props.cash, but I understand 4 seems a little too low, and you do not have to play the assist line. However, I just think that with all his weapons back, you have players on this team that can create their own shot, leaving less opportunity for Jason Tatum to rack up assists. Brown does not need Jason Tatum to help him score. Marcus Smart does not need Jason Tatum to help him score. Derek White, Brogdon, all these guys can create their own shots. And so I look at less opportunity for Jason Tatum to get 5 assists today and more opportunity for him to score. I would like this line. I would like this line a little bit more if it was 4.5 or 5 to take the under. But basically, you're hoping that he gets you 3 assists, which is a little low, right? 4 is gonna hook it. So I think this is like no man's land for the assist prop. But that's just my logic behind why I think we can look at his points on the more, and then his assists being less than they have been over that stretch of games where he had no Smart, no Brown. All right, let's talk about De'Aaron Fox. We liked his points yesterday. I don't know if we talked about his points yesterday. We liked his rebounds and assists for sure. Over 10.5. I like his points. 26.5 today versus the Portland Trail Blazers, which I think this game will be a very fun game to watch. I'm glad it's the last game of the night. It's how I like to end my night, to settle in and watch a game, and sweat it out a little bit. But talk about De'Aaron Fox's PRA looks good as well. That's one way you can go. But looking at his points, since he came back from his maternity leave, I mean, he has just been on an absolute tear. Almost hated to see the All-Star break happen because he was just starting to pick up that momentum and groove, right? But he's back. And so I like this matchup for the Kings, especially De'Aaron Fox over on his points. And we talked about his rebounds and assists that also look very, very good. So definitely 2 places we can go with De'Aaron Fox tonight. Since we're in this game, actually, I'm going to save those to the end of the video. All right, let's talk about the 76ers and Memphis Grizzlies. A couple of players that I like from this game. John Morant over on his assist at 8. The worst he can do is not hit 8, but ideally you think he will hit this or go over. He can hook it and not go over, but it doesn't crush your slips. Minus the 3 in the All-Star game. You got 16 and 16, which is 32. 32 divided by 4 is 8 assists. So he's averaging what his prop is today, which is 8 assists, which is why this is prop to 8. I like that to either hit or like hook or go over. And then I also like Joel Embiid over his assist. Man, I'm so tired of taking him over on his rebounds because he just never, ever, ever hits rebounds when I pick his rebounds. So looking at his assist to go over here, 3.5, he needs 4. He's giving you 4 in these games. 9, 11, 17. 17 divided by 4 is a little over 4. So there's that. And also his free throws. I'm always intrigued by his free throws. You got Jaren Jackson Jr., who fouls a ton, right? Dylan Brooks fouls a ton as well. I don't see Dylan Brooks switching off on Embiid, but I'm just saying, like, you got guys on this defense that hack. So I don't mind his free throws over 8.5, but definitely am interested more in his assists on the day at 3.5. So those are the 2 guys I like from this Memphis and Philly game. One more game I want to talk about before we get into some unders. Wendell Carter Jr. over his points prop of 15.5 versus the Detroit Pistons. I've seen some projections having him go as high as 17, 18 points today. So we only need 16 for him. And then from the same game, I also like the PRA for Bojan Bogdanovic, 28.5. You can also look to his points at 22.5, which look good as well. But the PRA catches my eye here. Too many props picked. Hold on. So 2 players from that Orlando-Detroit game that I like. Bojan and Wendell Carter Jr. both over their points and PRA. There you go. So far that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, did we talk about Mitchell and Jokic yet? Donovan Mitchell over on points. Liked him yesterday in the early look video. Jokic over on points. We said if we can get this at 23.5 or in that range, we like it. And then over on his rebounds and points, 35.5. Look great. Mentioned Michael Porter Jr. in the intro because of the injury to Aaron Gordon, and how you have Jeff Green in that lineup who really doesn't create his own offense. So I think more production gets funneled through Porter, Jokic, and Murray. I think Porter's points are fine. We always look to his three-pointers. And I think his fantasy score is also in play without Aaron Gordon on the floor. So, want to share quite a few picks with you all today. Just a lot to go over, and there's a lot to like on the board. And then I said yesterday we'd go over some unders, and we are. So, unders, here we go. Get ready. Get ready for the unders. All right, starting off in Indiana, I like the under on Miles Turner points. Sorry if you're looking at playing the over on this. Not saying you can't play the over on this. I just like the under on this. Points, I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like his production gets phased out in certain games. He doesn't have didn't have a great game against the Celtics the last time these two teams met. And I think that foul trouble in terms of like him, defending the paint. You got a lot of players on this Boston offense that like to drive and dish and all these things. Yeah, I can see him getting you 15, 16 points, maybe even 17, but we need him to get 18. And yeah, I like the under on Miles Turner points. I like the under on Jeremy Grant fantasy points, or points, rebounds, and assists, whatever we can find. Under here as well. He just hasn't been getting it done. And him coming back, I know he's well rested, out of concussion protocol and all that stuff, but even before that, just wasn't getting it done. I'll take my shot on the under for him. Drew Eubanks as well. Now that Jeremy Grant is back in the lineup, any offense that funnels through Jeremy Grant takes production away from Eubanks. So I like the under with him on his fantasy. Dylan Brooks, I'm always interested in taking the under on Dylan Brooks because he just honestly doesn't get it done. Just doesn't get it done. Under on Brooks points. I wish his fantasy was up here. I'd take the under on that for sure. And then last one, we talked about him in yesterday's early look video, but LeBron James under on PRA. I think it's possible for him to get you 25, 26 points and still fall under his points, rebounds, and assists. We do like his rebounds and assists. Well, we liked them at 13.5. Now they got bumped up to 14. The logic behind this is now that the Lakers are starting to confirm this starting lineup and you got players on this team that can do more, I think less scoring is going to be required from LeBron James down the stretch. We can even start to see him take his foot off the gas a little bit in terms of scoring and funnel a lot of that production through Davis and Russell and Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt and whoever the hell else wants to score. So that's my logic behind that. So I like the under on these guys here. And in terms of what I've locked in already, I haven't locked in a lot. So I've locked in Jokic over on points, rebounds, Bron over on rebounds and assists, and then Zach Collins over fantasy, Klay Thompson over points. We talked about Zach Collins yesterday, how we like some of these Spurs, specifically Collins, Malachi Branham, who's not yet on the Prizepicks board, and then Keldon Johnson. Not liking Keldon Johnson as much anymore, but definitely am waiting to see what those props look like for Malachi Branham if and when they get dropped on the board, and boom, there they go. Look at that. So Malachi Branham over his points, rebounds, and assists at 20.5. Really like this. Really like this. I also like the over on his points at 13.5. I understand the Spurs are a very bad team, but it's not like the Dallas Mavericks lock teams down. Let's not act like they're this amazing team. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. Wrapping up our final look video. This one ran a little long, but I try to give y'all 10 plus player props in this video that I really like the over on. Was able to give you quite a few unders as well to consider. So hopefully you can take my research, my breakdowns, and add them into your own research and your breakdowns and come out with some amazing player prop slips. Leave me a comment below letting me know who you're interested in playing on today's slate, who you've locked in, who you have a question about. Also, let me know what you think about my looks and observations, my picks, who I've already locked in, who I'm thinking about locking in. Let me know what you think about all that in the comments below. As always, truly appreciate the time you take and chill out with me, talking some player props over on Prizepicks. And as always, I appreciate the support, the likes, the subs, the comments. I love it all. Thank you so much for helping this little channel get a little bit bigger every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, until the next video, our early look and research video for Friday, February 24th, Chavez is out.